Shadowhunters head to the Seelie court, and Clary has a tough decision to make. Let's break it down on this episode of What Happened. Hey there, lovely people, welcome back. In this week's episode titled The Fair Folk, we finally got to meet the Seelie Queen, and unfortunately, no, she was not played by Sarah Hyland. Way to throw us off course though with those tweets last week, Sarah. We're still kind of not sure who Sarah is playing yet, so do you all have any guesses? I also have to say that I think Will Tudor really shines in this episode. Even though Sebastian is, in a sense, getting kind of annoying, it's for good reason, obviously. It's the way that his character is. But I think that's why Will plays him so well. We finally get to see that real dark side of Sebastian emerge, and I really, honestly can't wait to see where this character goes. Also, if the Shadowhunters guys couldn't get any more dreamy, we get to see not one, but two of them playing piano this week, showing off their musical skills. I mean, just swoon, that's all I have to say. Now, let's get into this recap. Alec and Izzy's mom, Maris, is back in town, and she is a lot nicer than she definitely has been in the past. She's proud of Alec now that he's the head of the Institute, and she is trying to also make amends with Luke for everything. Izzy's kind of worried about her mom finding out about her yin-fen addiction. Meanwhile, Maris is actually worried about Izzy finding out that she and Robert have kind of split up but aren't divorcing just yet. Well, when Maris tells Izzy about Robert's affair, turns out Izzy actually already knew about it because she had once overheard her dad on the phone. Then Izzy tells Maris about the yin-fen, and Maris takes the blame, saying she was always too hard on Izzy, and also that Izzy also needs to fight for love like Alec has been doing. And then the two kind of just have this sweet moment, they make up. Now with the whole fighting for love thing, Izzy decides she's going to take that advice, and she wants to fight for her love with Raphael. She goes to tell him, that she wants to try, but he actually rejects it because he's scared that the relationship started based on addiction, and he says that it only takes one small slip up to end back up in that dark place they were both in. But honestly, I think he's just scared because of all this nonsense that Sebastian ended up putting in his head earlier when Sebastian was telling Raphael that he was bad for Izzy. Alec is trying to make things right with the Downworlders, so he has started a weekly cabinet meeting with all the representatives from the various, vampires, Seelies, werewolves, warlocks. Luke is kind of hesitant to join, as his mission really is just to have Valentine dead. But Luke eventually agrees to go to the meeting, but it's really just a cover, because he gets this anonymous note and phone call from a burner phone where the mysterious person on the other end gives him the information and plan he needs to basically kill Valentine when no one is around. Luke leaves the cabinet meeting on a break and ends up in Valentine's cell, hell-bent on killing him. The two fight but are stopped when Alec and Sebastian run in because Sebastian just happened to notice that Luke had disappeared and that the security cameras were kind of messed up. Now instead of keeping Luke locked up, Alec actually gives him a get-out-of-jail-free card because Alec is still trying to let the Downworlders know that the Shadowhunters aren't the enemy here. Alec then says that as long as there's a mole in the Institute, because only someone inside the Institute probably could have helped Luke with that security footage, Valentine isn't safe there, so they have to move him. Also, Luke's annoying new partner returns in this episode, Ollie, who, I'm sorry, I gotta apologize because I think in the last time we saw her I thought her name was Molly. Sounds similar, guys, come on, but it's apparently Ollie. Anyway, she happens to show up right when Luke is on the burner phone outside of the Jade Wolf, and she claims that she needs help from him. Like, it's urgent. Help with her paperwork. Really? Couldn't she have just called him? She is totally a character that is up to something, and I think hiding her true identity. Later on, when she's in the car waiting for her girlfriend, she's looking back at the pictures she's taken of Luke and Maya in the past, and then the one she took that day at the Jade Wolf, and she notices that there is a wolf in the picture, so she shows her girlfriend, is like, hey, is that a wolf? Alright, Ollie, what are you really up to? When it comes to Sebastian, like I said, his true colors are starting to emerge in this episode. He just always seems to be butting into people's conversations, offering advice, and he just seems to know way too much. Now he walks in on Jace playing the piano and asks where he learned to play like that because he wishes he could do the same. Jace ends up telling him that Valentine actually taught him and used to actually break his fingers when he wouldn't get notes right. Sebastian then ends up going overline asking what's holding Jace back from getting back together with Clary. Like I said, nosy right there. Sebastian's also spending a lot of time with Izzy, and at the cabinet meeting he meets Raphael, who in turn tells Meliorn that he doesn't like Sebastian. There's just something about him. When Raphael goes up to Sebastian to ask his intentions with Izzy, Sebastian says that he's just her friend, but Raphael says, I see how you look at her and follow her.
The way you follow at a distance. Like a predator.
That is rich.
And this causes Sebastian to go off on Raphael, telling him to stay away from Izzy because Raphael's bad for her and a reminder of her addiction in darkest times. Then Sebastian's the one who alerts Alec about Luke going to Valentine's cell. So is Sebastian the mole that we're looking for? I honestly wouldn't be surprised. When Alec has Luke held down and Sebastian is holding Valentine down when they're in the cell, Valentine looks at Sebastian and says,
Do I know you?
Interesting. The end of the episode, we see Sebastian playing the piano beautifully, proving he is in fact a liar, because why would he tell Jace, I want to learn to play like you? And then we see some keys, a hammer, and stuff on the table, and we hear banging on a closet door. And inside, Sebastian has someone tied up, and he tells them, look at the mess you made. Quit or I'll have to punish you again. Yeah, what? This scene was pretty dark, lighting-wise, and I couldn't really tell who was in the closet, but was it the person whose place Sebastian is living in? Like, is it a character that we already know? All I know is Sebastian definitely is dangerous. All the makings right there of, say, that serial killer, psychotic type. You know, comes off pretty charming, but is able to manipulate people and steer them away from the true intense dark side and all the secrets they have. And I honestly just can't wait to see what kind of trouble he stirs up. Finally, let's talk about the Seelie court. Alex sends Jace and Clary on a mission to see the Seelie Queen because she's only agreed to meet with them if it is Valentine's experiments. Clary shows up to meet Jace in Central Park, but unfortunately, Simon is in tow, which is honestly starting to get a little bit annoying. Like, Simon follows her around like a little puppy dog. He's got to get some new friends, right? Some more friends? Anyway, Jace isn't happy about it, but the three of them end up going to see the Seelie Queen, and on the way, Jace saves Simon from a kill tree. And when they meet the Seelie Queen, Jace sticks up for Simon as to why he should be there too, which is actually kind of a nice move on Jace's part. The Seelie Queen says she wants to learn more about Valentine's children and what the angel blood does. And that's when Jace tells her that he isn't Valentine's son. But the Queen says, well, you still have the blood in you. Also, the Queen reveals to Clary that Kaylee was actually Jace's lover. So yeah, no real book club there for Jace. Also, that Kaylee didn't act alone on the murders, but that the Queen has already taken care of that other knight who was an accomplice. Then the Queen asks to be alone with Simon. The Seelie Queen ends up offering Simon some help with his music because apparently she knows a thing or two about music because she has helped Sia and Bjork, who are apparently Seelies. And then she gets inside Simon's head and says how the Shadowhunters will always resort to choosing their own kind. She's definitely trying to mindfuck Simon right here. When Simon returns to the group, they try to leave, but the Seelie Queen wraps Jace and Simon up with these vines and says, you know, you can't leave because you killed many of my kind and you have to pay. That kind being the birds and the bees and the bugs. Also, a gnat that Simon killed at the kill tree earlier, yet really twisting it there with the whole you killed my people thing. The Queen says that they can go if Clary plays a game, and the only way that she can set them free is to kiss the one she most desires. Now, we all know how this is going to turn out, right? Well, Clary goes and kisses Simon and, well, unfortunately, nothing happens. She then tells Jace this means nothing before kissing him, and well, let's just say there is an extreme difference in the way she kissed Simon and the way she kissed Jace.
Ooh, did we ever see?
And that Jace kiss ends up releasing the vines, and of course Simon is upset and runs off. Later, Clary tries to talk to him, but he won't open his door, so Clary returns to the Institute in tears and refuses to talk to Jace about what happened, even though he says, we gotta talk. Alright, so is this really the end of Kleiman? It seems like Clary really does like Simon, but we all know that Jace is pining for Clary. Also, I know why Valentine said Sebastian looks familiar, as do book readers. Like I said, I didn't read the books, but sometimes I can't help reading spoilers. Now, I know who he is, I just don't know exactly what he goes on to do. So, for those of you that haven't read the books and are just following the show, Any guesses on where you think this little dark, twisted guy is gonna go? For those of you that have read the books, how do you think it's gonna unfold? Do you think it's gonna match the books? Also, what the hell do you think Ollie is up to? And who will Sarah Hyland play? There's still so many questions left in this episode, and honestly not enough Magnus in this episode. Now let's look at the promo for next week.
I love you.
Don't do that.
Why?
Because you don't mean it the way I mean it.
It was real. You know, I felt it, and I know Clary did too.
Your love for Clary, it will be your downfall.
Don't you dare. I never wanted you to see this terrible, ugly side of me.
Just a little taste.
I think I killed a mundane.
Okay, so Simon is definitely kind of spinning out after that Clary kiss, and honestly, I don't blame him. And Alec is trying to transfer Valentine, but I have a feeling that's not gonna go as planned. Hit me up in the comments down below or on my social media with all your thoughts on this episode, and then you can click right over here for even more videos. And if you like what you see, would love it if you subscribed and even hit that little bell for notifications. As always, I'm Lisa. See you next time.